Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my live today. I am Sandra Morris. I am a travel advisor and the admin for I Do in the Caribbean Facebook group. And this particular Facebook book group is for couples looking to plan a destination wedding in the Caribbean or Mexico. So within this group, I talk about all things destination weddings. So if you're thinking about planning a destination wedding, you don't know where to begin, you need some guidance as to what to do, where to start, this group should be really ideal for you, because what we cover in here is everything you need to know about planning your destination wedding, whether you want to do it by yourself or you want to use a professional like myself to help you plan your wedding. But within the group, I'm just sharing information that can help you plan your wedding. So today's topic is, if you're considering a destination wedding, what do you need to do or what do you need to consider before you start planning it? And I think it's very important because, planning a destination wedding is just not picking a destination and going there and doing a wedding. You really have to take a lot of factors into consideration, and these are things that I think you need to look at first before you decide if you want to have a destination wedding. So I am going to begin the presentation. And this is, everything, I'm just talking about the key things you need to consider when you start planning. And, destination wedding, obviously, is a wonderful thing because everybody wants to have a destination wedding. I mean, the first thing you think about is gorgeous location, getting married on the beach, being with all your friends and family. But, having a destination wedding comes with a lot of challenges because you're planning a wedding in a foreign country, and it comes with a lot of rules, and also you have to bring your whole guests to that location, and the logistic of just getting them there can be very overwhelming for a couple who's planning a wedding if they're looking to have more than 10 or more people attend their wedding. So the first thing I always say is, before you even start planning, what budget do you have for your wedding? Because that's going to determine almost everything for your wedding. So having a proper budget is going to be the best thing, the first thing you have to do, because your budget is going to decide a lot of things. First, your budget needs to cover your accommodations. If you're going to go to a destination, how much is going to cost you to be at that destination for most likely a minimum of 4 to 6 days, because a lot of resorts require you to be at the property 2 or 3 days before your wedding. So if you're going to be on resort, it's going to be like at least 5 days you're going to be at the resort. If you're having a legal wedding, most resort, wants you to be there 3 business days before the wedding. And also, if when planning your wedding, are you going to have a legal wedding, meaning that you're going to legally get married in that country, or you're going to have a symbolic wedding, just going to exchange vows in front of your friends and family, and it's not legal within that particular destination? Because with a legal wedding, it comes with all different set of costs. If you're getting married in Mexico, to have a legal wedding, it's going to run you minimum $1,500 just for having the legal wedding. Meaning you have to pay for the judge, you have to do blood tests, you have to you have to pay for the judge to be there. You also have to do a translation of your document from Spanish to English. So those are just minimum costs just to have a legal wedding. So definitely something to think about, what type of wedding you're going to have. It's going to be legal in the country you're doing it, or it's just going to be a symbolic wedding. The next thing is flight information, transfers to and from the resort, your wedding package, and your guest activity. So these are the minimum things in your budget you should have. You should have what's going to cost you to get to that resort, what the wedding package is going to cost you, and if you're going to have extra activities for your guests, like welcome reception, tours, anything like that. These are just minimum things you should have a price put on it so you can know how much this wedding is going to cost you. Then what changes your wedding budget is how many people are invited. The more people you invite, the more it's going to cost you. Most wedding packages start at 20 people. So if you go above 20 people, it's going to cost you additional, say, $100 per person. So depending on how many people you're inviting, your budget is going to get bigger and bigger. So that's something definitely to think about. Also, when you're looking at a destination you want to get married, if you want to get married in the Caribbean or Mexico, each destination is going to be different. It's going to have different requirements. It's going to cost different. If you want to get married in Turks and Caicos, that's an expensive place to get married. So, and then the airfare to get there might be more expensive to get there. If you're getting married in Mexico, there's more flights to choose from. There's more resort to choose from. There is just a lot more to choose from, and it might be more budget friendly. If you get married in Jamaica, it can go from budget to luxury. It all depends on where your budget is, but you need to consider the destination that you're going to get married. And if it's St. Lucia for me, if I say St. Lucia for as an example, St. Lucia to me is a little bit more expensive than most of the Caribbean islands. The flights to get there is a lot more, and the rooms are a lot more than regular hotels. So if you're thinking of a destination like St. Lucia, it's probably going to cost you more to get married there. Also, the time of year you're getting married, because if you're getting married during the summer, it's going to cost more. If you get married during the winter time in the US, winter time is like from December on to May, April. It's going to cost you more because that's when people want to get away. So that's something to consider. If you're having a fall wedding, it can be cheaper. So, bear in mind, these are just things you got to think about and how it's going to affect your budget. As I said, the date you want to, and also what's your vision? Most people want a wedding because they want to be on the beach. They want all these fancy decor. Your vision is going to cost you money, because when you look at those weddings, they're not, most time the wedding package only includes the bare minimum: white tablecloth, white linen. If you want pretty flowers, if you want string lights, if you want lighted dance floor, if you want a DJ, if you want photography, if you want videography, that's going to cost you a whole lot more. So that's why I tell people, your budget, you need to have a good budget in order for you to see if a destination wedding is for you, and if you can actually afford it, and what location or destination will be the best place for you. So the budget is very important for you to have a solid budget. And the other thing I can say about budget, if you budget $10,000, add another $5,000 to that, because you might think $10,000 is a good budget, but when you start adding things onto that, it just becomes overwhelming. And then you want to add this and you add this. You really have to have a flexible budget. You have to have a budget, but it has to be flexible, because there is going to be things you're going to want that the budget is just not going to be there for. And there's always going to be things that come up that you didn't budget for that is going to throw you off on your budget. So destination, apart from having a budget, the next thing is the destination you choose. Why you choose that destination is really up to the couple. It could be someplace they've been to before that they love, and they've always wanted to get married there. So that's it. That's your destination. But when you're choosing a destination, you really have to look at a few things. If you're inviting guests to come with you to your wedding, you have to look at how easy is it for your guests and yourself to get to that destination. How many direct flights are going there? What is the travel time from the airport to the resort? What's the cost of the airfare? Because those are things that people are either going to come to your wedding, or they're not going to come to your wedding because it costs too much or it's just too far out of their budget. Also, when you look at a destination, what kind of resorts available there that, as I would say, match your vision. If you're looking for a beach wedding, if you want to pick a destination that you have great beaches, so you actually can get married there. So there's a lot of things to think about also when you're picking a destination. Also, or do you want a regular hotel? Do you want an all-inclusive resort? Do you want a private venue, meaning that you're just going to pick a venue that you love and that's where you're going to get married, and people or all your guests can just stay in local hotels, or, that's it. So these are things to, consider. And also the cost of accommodation at that destination. How much does it cost for 3 nights for your guests to be there? So, when you're picking a destination, it's all about the couple, I would say, but it's also about their guests also. Because if you're doing this wedding, you really want to invite your friends and family to be there, you're going to try to make sure it's affordable, that people can actually attend your wedding. So you have to think about, all right, how easy is it for me to get to that destination? For instance, if you live in California, when I do weddings for couples, the choices they're going to pick is Hawaii or Mexico, because it's very easy for them to find flights and to get from California to Mexico or to Hawaii. If you're in the Northeast, where I'm in New York, from us, the Caribbean is open to us. We can almost go to any destination, and there's always a direct flight to get to Antigua, Grenada, St. Lucia, Jamaica, name it. Coming from the US or coming from New York, it's an easier thing. You can actually pick a destination because there are so many to choose from, because it's easy access to get to those destinations. So, The destination is important because also you want to think about also hurricane season. Depending on when you're getting married, is that area or destination prone to hurricane? And when is hurricane season? Do you want to get married then? Also, when you choose a destination, the prices are going to be a lot different if you're getting married fall versus summer versus winter. So all that's going to determine the destination you pick, and that's going to also impact the budget. So that is definitely a key, is the destination. Then the next thing you know think about is the resort or the venue, because most people, I would recommend always an all-inclusive resort because it's easier for your guests to handle that. Once they get on resort, everything is paid for. They don't have to worry about anything. So, but most couples might not want to get married at a resort. They might want to get married at a venue and just have all their guests just come to the venue to have that event, which is fine. So, if you're doing a venue, then you have to think of what hotel are you going to like hold rooms at, so your guests can have some place to stay or anything like that. So resort is definitely key and important to understand how that resort actually, I would say, fit your vision, because now you have a budget, you picked your destination. Now you have to find that perfect resort that's going to be where you want to get married, whether you want a garden wedding, a gazebo wedding, you want some place that have a sky terrace, because a lot of people don't want to be in the sand, but they want to see the ocean. So you then have to pick a resort that's going to fit that vision that you're looking for. So, resort is important because then that is where you're actually going to get married. So you have to take a lot of time to make sure you pick the right resort. So, what is the cost of accommodation is definitely a key. How much is going to cost for your guests and yourself to be at that resort for a particular number of nights? Also, what wedding packages are they offering? Is it going to be a wedding package that's going to fit your budget? Also have all the bells and whistles that you want for your wedding. And also, when you look at a hotel, you really are a resort. You need to look at the room category they have available. Are they all hotel style room, or is it more suites, luxury room, with swim out, or with, tubs? Or you look at entertainment. Do we have nightly entertainment at a resort? Is your guest going to be entertained when they're there? Is there things for kids to do? Is it a kids friendly resort? The food, you want to, that's a very important thing. You always want to make sure that the food that's at the resort is good. So when the guests are there, they're going to enjoy just being on resort. Also, that they have activities for them to do throughout the day. You want to make sure that guests are entertained, whether by you or whether by the staff at the resort, that, they're going to be comfortable coming there and having a good time. Make sure that, there's good customer service also at the resort. So that's important to think about. And also, when you're picking a resort, you want to always look at the distance from the airport. If people are getting married in Jamaica, they're most likely flying to Montego Bay, and try to pick hotels that are around the Montego Bay area, like 20 to 30 minutes drive. They don't want people to be on a long flight and then have to drive an hour and a half to the hotel. So that's always something you kind of think about in the back of your mind when you're getting married, when you're picking a resort, what's going to work best for you and also accommodate your guests. Because you don't want to get married you don't want to fly into Montego Bay and your wedding is in Ocho Rios or in Negril, which is like an hour and a half away. People do pick those resorts because they like it, but these are the things you need to think about when you're planning your wedding. So really, this live is all about just trying to, if you're thinking of having a destination wedding, what are the key things you need to think about? And as I said, the first thing you need to do is to have a realistic budget. Realistic meaning you put in all this, because the stuff I actually didn't even include in the budget is the cost of your wedding attire, the cost of if you're going to pay for the room for your parents or your bridesmaid, are you going to buy a dress for them? So we haven't even included those in the budget. But basically, a budget should have all the key components of what's going to cost you to have your wedding, which is your accommodation, your flight, the cost of the wedding package, depending on how many people are going to attend your wedding. And, that is, and also your vision. What is it going to cost for you to get that vision that you want for your wedding? What's the additional cost to have that wedding of your dream? So you're going to actually add all those different components together to get an estimation of what it's going to cost to have a destination wedding. So if after you do all that and you still want a destination wedding and you need someone to help you plan, as I said, I'm a travel specialist. I specialize in helping couples plan their destination wedding in the Caribbean and Mexico. So if you're looking for a travel advisor that can help you plan your dream destination wedding in the Caribbean, you can leave me a message. Let me know. I'll be more than likely happy to schedule a consultation with you to see if we can work together. And also, if you need more information, you can also join my free Facebook group, I Do in the Caribbean. If you haven't done so before, it's a private Facebook group, and it's really for couples who are looking to plan a destination wedding in the Caribbean or Mexico. And within this group, I share all kind of information about planning your destination wedding, talking about budget. How do you, come up with your budget for the wedding? How do you pick the best destination for what your vision is and for what your budget is? How do you find the perfect resort to have that dream destination wedding? How do you get all your guests or book all your guests to your destination? So I talk about group contracts. So within this group, so every week I'm going to come on and just talk about a different topic dealing with destination wedding. So today was just the idea of, do you want a destination wedding and what you should think about before you start planning. So once you start planning, then you have to figure out what's the destination you're going to have your wedding. So I'm going to talk about how to pick the right destination, depending on what you're looking for. Also, how to pick the right resort, depending on what your vision is. How do you pick that resort? And then looking at wedding packages. How do you know if the wedding package is a good one? What does it include? What you need to add to it to make it better? Also, if you're having more than 10 or 20 people attend your wedding, do you need a group room contract? How do you get a group room contract? How do you get your guests to book within that group? Who can help you book that? That's why a travel advisor like myself can help you coordinate all your guest booking, get their reservation, book for them, help you with actually making decisions about your wedding, helping you, plan that wedding for you without the stress or without being overwhelmed. So if you're looking for someone to help you do that, as I said, leave me a message and I'll be happy to get back to you on that. And really, that's all I have for today. So next week, as I said, tomorrow I'm going to talk about more things about planning your destination wedding. It is probably going to cover, picking the right destination and resort. How do you, what questions to ask? What should you look for? How do I know if this is the right resort for me? Then we're going to talk about wedding packages, which resort or which resort brand has good wedding packages, what you think a good reasonable wedding package should cost you. Talk about group room contracts. Should you get a group room contract? What's the benefit of doing that? How do you get all your guests booking through that group room contract and make sure that they're all, arrive to your destination for your wedding? And also just, helping you with any questions you have around planning a destination wedding. So that is all I have until next week when I go live again, but I won't be going into my event trail live. This is only a one-shot deal. So if you want more information, you have to join the I Do in the Caribbean private Facebook group. Send me a message if you want to join, because all the information is going to be within that group. So if you're not part of that group, you won't be able to get this information. So until next week, I will be live again talking about all things destination wedding. From Sandra Morris here, the Destination Wedding Boss. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment and I will definitely answer you. And if you are planning a group trip or you want a romantic getaway, I can also help you plan that. So if you need help with planning any kind of trips, especially destination wedding, but I do group trips also, I can definitely help you. So that's all I have until next week when I go live again, talking about all things destination wedding. Have a good Monday, and I will see you next week.